There are 7 storylines for me that I think going into this game that we need to talk about. The first one is very simple to me when I look at LSU versus Clemson. The number one things that I am looking at when this game gets kicked off, it's going to come when LSU has the ball. Can you run the football? That is it. Last year, you were terrible. Guys, it's the worst thing that you did. You were 108th in the country in rushing. You weren't effective enough. You bailed away from it too quickly. Your coordinator did not stay with the run game because I guess he didn't believe in it enough. And quite frankly, you got out-physicaled up front. Now, at the end of the season when Brian Kelly got involved, run game kind of picked up. So maybe you just need to stick with it more. But the first thing in storyline going into this game for Blake Ruffino in the preview of this game is LSU going to be able to run the football effectively at all? I don't think that there's been a lot of things that I have seen through fall camp that gives me the idea that I shouldn't be worried about the run game that was bad a season ago. But there is in this game something that gives me a little bit of hope to see how it's going to counteract. Guys, last year, Clemson was 85th in the country in run defense. I have made it very well known the way that I think here in reference to the run game. I don't think that the run game is this complicated thing of events when the offensive line is trying to go through blocking schemes and a handoff. I don't think that there's a lot that goes into it. Now, there's a lot that goes into it from a physicality standpoint, but there's not a lot that goes into it from a schematical standpoint. Running the football is running the football. Guys, think of how many passes and things that you can do in the pass game. Guys, there's like 7 runs. I mean, you could get creative and do something crazy. Option, speed, zone read, zone, counter, wham, waggle, whatever. It's not that complicated. The question I've asked myself looking into Clemson is, for them defensively, was it scheme or was it personnel? Now, a lot of people have built up that personnel with Peter Woods, with TJ Parker. They bring in Will Helt. You got Wade Woodaz. You got Sammy Brown. You have a really good front 7. So we expect. You bring in a new DC and Tom Allen from Penn State. What does he do and how does he implement what he wants to do to a team that was 85th in the country last year in run defense? It very well could have been scheme. But I start wondering how much about the personnel for Clemson. I don't think that when you watch Clemson a season ago, and I will show you the film of this because we've done it before, I've seen them get pushed around in the interior. Even when Peter Woods moved back into the interior, we have seen them not be great enough there. Can you out-physical a team that has shown on film that they have a perplexity to get run down? Are you the team that remotely can test that? Because the way that you tried to run the football a season ago, you weren't the team that could do that. You couldn't run the football. But the number one storyline and the number one thing that I'm watching going into this game, if you run the football effectively, guys, you get to 120, 125, 150, guys, it's over. It's over. I think you're going to win it. You start getting to a situation where you look like A&M from a season ago. You get to a situation where you look like Ole Miss a season ago. You're not going to win it. I know a lot of you want to be in a situation where you're like, Blake, just tell me all the positives. Well, the positive is if you actually did, when you went out in the portal and got Braylon Moore, when you went out in the portal and got Josh Thompson, you moved DJ Chester or Palma being the steps up at left guard, you got 2 new tackles that were highly recruited. One was a 5-star right tackle, and Tyree Adams was a top 50 guy from the state of Louisiana. It's not like you have bums, not from a recruiting standpoint. The biggest thing is that you got to go out there and physically take it to their ass. There's no more pity pat. There's no more playing around. Because if you don't get into the top 50s in rushing, you're not making that 12-team playoff. If you do, you win this game. and you start off on a path, because, guys, I don't think Florida is going to come in here and beat you. I don't think South Carolina is going to come in here and beat you. I don't think A&M is going to come in here and beat you. And you look at the 3 big games on the road: Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma. I mean, can you go 1-2 against it? Because you come into this place tonight, and Brian Kelly has been very good at this place at not losing games. He's 19-2. So that will be my number one storyline going into this game. I'm very interested to see what Tom Allen does, their new DC. Because Penn State was freaking really good defensively a season ago. Really good. If you can get push, Garrett can step up in the pocket and make some runs. First down, you move the pocket, do whatever you got to do. Go get 7 and get down. Let's live with 2nd and 3 and say, guys, sidebar, I think it's the thing that kills teams with guys like Jaden Daniels, even Joe Burrow, right? Like, Burrow would tuck that thing and run and go 2nd and 3 after getting 7. And hey, we're going to run the football. We get no gain. We get a couple of yards. It's 3rd and 1. We can sneak it if we outright need to. That's how you kill teams with first downs. So putting Garrett in very bad situations. Got to run that rock. The second storyline going in this game, and the second thing that I'm watching the most: LSU's revamped secondary versus this Clemson wide receiver core. Gus, we saw a young class of freshmen a season ago for Clemson that really made how do I want to say this? I don't want to say that they made a step, but they really put some guys on notice. They put some guys and some teams on notice, like at the end of the season when they really started getting going against Texas. Guys, the Texas secondary last year was very talented, clearly. Very talented based off the draft, based off the numbers, based off what they did in the playoff. They took it to a team that had, on paper, from a passing yards allowed standpoint, the second best defense in the country. That's going up and blanking a team like Jeremiah Smith. Guys, they blanked Jeremiah Smith. And if you think Jeremiah Smith is good, and I know that they double covered his ass, that means everybody else was man on man throughout the entire board. And it's not like Ohio State has scrubs. But you have a new revamped DB room. You're going to start 2 new safeties. You're going to start another boundary corner, and either Ashton Stamps or P.J. Woodland, in my humble opinion, is going to get that start. I have not, for what it's worth, I think DJ Pickett plays. Guys, the last 10 practices that we've been out there was a mixture between Stamps and P.J. Woodland at the other boundary corner running with the ones. And if you just go to practice, that's what you've seen. If they throw DJ out there and it's with the ones and he starts the game, well, then they did it. They purposefully made him run with the 2s when the media was not there, and when the media was there, and then when the media wasn't there, they let him run with the 1s. But you can't take reps with the second team and then run out there with the first team, because communication is a big deal. But there is a chance that with your secondary that you just have all new starters, P.J. Woodland included. I do think P.J. of the 3 has been the most consistent in camp. Mansour Delane has been a very good addition. Guys, we've seen him in the ACC. We've seen him against teams and really good receivers that the ACC did produce last year. It was the best thing the ACC did a season ago was receiving cores that they produced. Mansour Delane was a big factor in stopping a lot of those. I think he's had an exceptional camp, coming down with the interceptions that he has, the PBUs that he's had. He's looked very good. I think A.J. Halsey's been really good in the run game, has been susceptible to some of the things in the pass game. But he's been there, along with Tamarcus Cooley, who I think a little bit of the same, which I think Tamarcus and Deshaun Spears are going to rotate in and out of that position. Because you have a revamped secondary. And you have another guy that is technically a safety that will play that star role. I know they technically label it a safety. I mean, Major Burns was in the safety room a season ago. You have a whole revamped secondary. I think that this wide receiver room for Clemson's really good. I think they're very talented. With TJ Moore, Antonio Williams, and the gang, I think they're a very good unit. Klubnik and them did some very good things a season ago. But when you look at LSU's revamped DB room, I'm not asking you to be 2011. What I'm asking you for is, hey, safeties, can you help defend the run game? Hey, corners, can you get your head turned and try to make a play? Can we start limiting some of these explosive plays that we're constantly giving up? This team in this secondary has got to be extremely good at tackling guys in space. Guys, if you watch Clemson and what they want to do offensively, it is very, very simple of some of the early down stuff that they want to do. They want the ball out of Cade Klubnik's hands quick, fast, and in a hurry. They run a lot of drags, meshes. They run a lot of sticks. They're going to throw some screens to the back. They're going to throw some screens and bubble screens to their receivers. Gus, go watch the Texas game. And then they're going to leak somebody deep after they've lulled you in, and they're going to try to go vertical on you. Go watch every game that they played a season ago. I guarantee you, to start the game, they're going to get the ball out of Cade Klubnik's hands very early and very quick. And when they start bringing your DBs down, they are going to take shots deep, and you got to make sure that you're able to capitalize and not be able to get beat. But you better tackle in open space, because if you keep having some of the tackling woes in the secondary that you've had the last couple of seasons, this wide receiver core is going to bust you up. They're going to bust you up. I can live with them having better dudes than us. What I can't keep living with is you keep constantly blowing assignments. Right? I can't keep having blown assignments by the corners. I can't keep having blown assignments by the safeties. I think like last year, I wasn't mad last year at Major Burns when he went up against Trey Harris in the back of the end zone. He's trying to make a play. Trey Harris makes an unreal play. What I do put on that safety room from a year ago and this corner room from a year ago, this Ashton Stamps gets hit with a double move. The safety, who's supposed to be shaded to his side, literally stands there and does not go give Ashton Stamps any help. He watches the sluggo get hit in the back of the end zone, and he just watches the football like he's Henry Rollingardner when they're playing the Dodgers, and Suarez, who just got hit in the back, and you have a deep fly ball in the right field. And Henry Rollingardner's like, wow. Think I got kids of the age of 6 that watch Rookie of the Year. So all my son Ben watches, by the way. You got to be better there. I think you are better there. So regardless, I think it's a plus. Mansour Delane is giving me a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence. Can you hold on? Will be the question. And I think A.J. Halsey's been a really good addition as well. I actually went ahead in number 2, talked about number 3. Tackling these receivers in space. That was a part of my 1-2 there. So 2 and 3 are done. I will just say one last time. Guys, they're going to put you on an island, and they're going to make you tackle these elite guys in space. If you do not come up and get them to the ground, they will do it all night on you. You better be able to get them down and break some passes up. You better be very physical early. One thing I'll say about this receiving core, when Texas in the second half started getting very physical with them, they didn't want nothing to do with it. They wanted nothing to do with it. Can you do it? All right, so we got 2 and 3 out of the way. LSU at wide receiver is something that I'm definitely watching. I know everybody wants to talk about the offensive line, and we'll do that next. But hypothetically speaking, before we get to the offensive line, what if they can't hold up for 18? What if they can't hold up for Garrett Nussmeier? If they do hold up for him, and they're able to allow him to have time. The very interesting thing that this LSU offense has is elite speed. I am putting Chris Hilton in bubble wrap all week. I am somewhat limiting him in some of the things that he does. You got Barry and Brown. I might do a little bit of the same. And you have Aaron Anderson. I do think that that's the three that you're going to roll out with the most. They're gonna rotate that receiving room in and out with a lot of different players. But Clemson showed a year ago that they can get beat vertically. You go back to the Louisville game, you go back to the Georgia game, you go back to the Texas game, you go back to the season before. Guys, when the offense and Tyler Shuck got moving, speaking of Tyler Shuck, when Tyler Shuck and Louisville got going versus Clemson a year ago, go watch the Chris Bell receptions. And Chris Bell does not have the speed that you do on the perimeter. He does not. That Louisville team did not have the speed that you do at the perimeter and in the slot. If this LSU offensive line is going to hold up for Garrett, I am very intrigued to see how Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan attack this DB room for Clemson. The reason it's so intriguing is I think that Clemson knows that you're going to try to push the ball down the field. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, because I think that you should. And I don't think that you should go into this game saying to yourself, hey, man, it's the same old stuff with Joe Sloan. He's just trying to throw the deep ball. Well, yeah. In this specific game and scenario, when Clemson showed a year ago that they could get beat by that, you might want to test it. And you might want to test it often. But you can't do that all game. And you're going to have to get these elite guys out in space with some quick hitting stuff. Xavier Thomas has got a lot of reps. Barry and Brown, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, and Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp. I think how you can utilize that room could be otherworldly, to be real with you. They have the talent to be really freaking good. I think that you can do some really special things versus this DB room. I do. But, man, you got to be able to take it to them. And schematically, you can't fall in love with trying to hit the deep pass over and over and over again. You're going to have to throw some quick slants to Chris Hilton, and you're going to have to throw some hitches. You're going to have to get Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp on some stick routes for 7, 8, 9 yards. You're going to have to let them walk up. And you're going to have to run the ball effectively, because when they do and when you do that, you can get Chris Hilton one-on-one on the outside with somebody on the boundary and take your shot. There is nobody on Clemson's team that can keep up with number 3. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. This wide receiver core, if utilized in a right way by play calling, could do something special. Does Nick Anderson get involved in all in this? Now, he was on the bike on the scrimmage on Saturday. Brian Kelly said that everybody should be a go. I think that, he does. I heard somebody ask today in the press conference about the injury report. Guys, y'all do know that he does not have to give an injury report this week. Blake, yes, he does. No, he doesn't. He has to do it for SEC games. He does not have to do it for this game. Not to my knowledge. The way that I understood it, the SEC is making you put out injury reports for only in-conference games. I mean, he could easily say, no, we're perfectly healthy, and Nick Anderson doesn't dress. I mean, what's up with Nick Anderson? He's on the bike? I mean, I don't know. That one seemed a little bit different to me. But that's just me. Regardless, number 4, I think you can separate. You can separate here. Number 5. Let's talk about the offensive line. Guys, I talked about this on Saturday, and I want to make this a somewhat big talking point here. I don't know how much faith right now that this offensive line has given me to be able to show me that they can run the ball effectively. I don't know if they can hold up enough for Garrett. Guys, it very well may be a situation when we get out there on Saturday that we're in a place in time and situation where what we saw in camp was you facing off against a really good front seven in your own team. They could have known the plays. They could have known your calls. They could have known all of it, and they just dominated you early. Could very well be the case. It's the biggest weakness that I think that you have. Now, the Brian Kelly conversation today about him saying that, and we'll talk about this in just a moment in more depth, but Brian Kelly saying that we might play 6 or 7 offensive linemen is not shocking to me, nor should it be alarming or shocking to you. They have 2 positions that they're not locked down on. And Brian Kelly, without telling you, is telling you, we have not locked down left guard. We haven't locked down right tackle. It legitimately, it comes to that. I am not saying that this offensive line is going to be bad. I'm not saying they're going to be good. They just not have shown me in camp enough that doesn't make me not worried about them. Right? Like I am very much worried about what Saturday's performance is going to look like from that unit. We could come in here, and I hope that we come in here on Saturday and say to ourselves, Blake, what are we even doing? Offensive line actually didn't do bad at all. They actually were pretty good. And I hope that's what we say. There just hasn't been a lot that they have shown me to give me a lot of faith. However, I do think you're facing off against a really good unit and your own defense. I think you're facing off against a damn good unit. And I don't need you to be the best offensive line in the SEC. I need you to give Garrett enough time to throw the football. I need you to get 4 yards to carry for me. Because if we do that and you run the ball on first down and you're getting 4 yards, guys, I feel so much more confident about where you're going. I need you to be I need you to be average. Because if you're average and you're moving, you're going to win a lot of football games. And the stress level comes down. I've seen your edge room. I've seen your interior defensive tackles make a lot of plays against you in camp. Bernard Gooden's name, guys, comes up the way that it does and all the way that it does during fall camp, mainly due to the fact that, he's making plays. He's getting in the backfield and making tackles for loss. Gabe Rutherford's name keeps coming up because he keeps sacking the quarterback. Harold Perkins' name keeps coming up because he keeps making plays. How else do you want to quantify that? Now, I say this every year because there's always some Rudy Poos that come in here and say this. And there's 1,943 of you in this chat right now, or in this show right now. And I'm going to tell all 1,943 of you this. The worry about the offensive line might not be a big deal. Doesn't mean that we haven't seen what we've seen. I always have people come in here, oh, y'all were lying, y'all didn't know what then get your ass out there and go watch it. And then I want you to come in here and determine what you're seeing. Because I know that you want this team to do great things. I do too. But there's no way that you can see Bernard Gooden have 7 tackles for a loss during the camp and say, that don't look good. You can't do that. So, number 5. What is it? What is this LSU offensive line? Because I have no idea. No idea. All right. A couple more things here. So that was number 5. 2 more things here. Cade Klubnik. Can you contain him running the football? I think a lot of people look at Cade Klubnik and say to themselves and think to themselves that they're going to see the quarterback that we saw in year one of him as a starter, year two of him in the beginning of the year as a starter, and they completely neglect who and what he did a season ago. Guys, this young man had over 40 touchdowns and only 6 turnovers. He had a hell of a season. His team, and some parts of his team, crumbled around him. Containing him in the run game is going to be a massive deal for you. It's going to be a massive deal for you because we've seen him make plays on design runs against really, really good defenses and him take it for 6 from 50 yards out. He is going to scramble. He is going to break contain. And quite honestly, guys, you're just going to have to live with him making plays. However, you got to be able to contain him and keep him in the pocket. Brian Kelly, I thought, gave the biggest game plan, and it's not uncommon. I mean, I don't think that Dabo would have ever imagined that Brian Kelly's thought wouldn't be to keep Cade Klubnik in the pocket because they're going to have to. When he starts extending plays, shit starts becoming dangerous. We'll talk about this from BK in a minute. I don't think Cade Klubnik is the level of athlete of Lenore Sellers, of Jalen Milroe, etc. from a season ago. But guys, we have film of him and games of him of running a quarterback draw on 3rd and 1 against Texas from the 50-yard line and him hitting the sideline and taking it for 6. They have really good athletes. Better than yours a season ago on defense. Containing him and getting after him is the key to winning this game. Now, I say contain him. You also got to contain him when you get to him because he has been very lethal at extending plays that he shouldn't. Kind of Bo Nix-ish, if you will, when we face off against Bo. You got to send some heat after his ass. And if you can send some heat, and I'm not talking about blitzing him all the time, you got to get home with 4 too. That's how you beat him. You got to find a way to get to him, and if you can get home with 4, you're gonna beat him. Can Gabe Rutherford, Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn be who we think that they are? Now, the games that they lost a season ago, those teams did the best job of containing him, not named Texas. Texas did not do a good job at all, nor did they care. They were just trying to get after him, and if he broke contain, he broke contain. But you got to be very disciplined when getting to him. I think that you're very athletic in your defensive line room, that if you push the interior of that pocket back, you are really good at the edge that can get to him and make plays. So not only containing him, getting after his ass and making his life a living hell, it's how you beat him. It's for every quarterback. You're going to have to find a way, and you're going to have to be creative when you do it. Harold Perkins is going to have to be key in this one. He's going to have to be key. Maybe there are some situations when you go in zone that you spy him so that you, instead of sending him, so if Klubnik breaks contain, that 7 can run him down. We need him to do that. But you got to be multiple here in a lot of different ways. All right. Last but not least, number 7. Garrett Nussmeier. Has Garrett taken that leap that we think that he has? I think that there are signs, and I think that there are evidence that Garrett has. I really do. I think that some of the things that we've seen in fall camp, and even some of the things that we saw in the spring, Nuss not being scared to move up in the pocket, scrambling when he needs to, those have been things that have plagued him. Very much so. Things that he has not wanted to do. He gets some pressure, he starts bailing. We've seen him more of being more mature and doing some mature things. Turnovers have come down. But guys, when you're under relentless pressure all night, you can easily revert back to some of the ways that you've been and things that you've been doing. And I want you to remember that, because I think he's going to have to get out of some pressure throughout the night. He's going to have to sit in that pocket and take some very big hits. And he's going to have to pop right back up. Because without him and out him not turning the ball over, him not extending plays with his legs, you're not going to beat Clemson if he doesn't. You're just not. He can make every throw on the field that he needs to. He can. To beat a team like them, to beat a DC like Tom Allen, you're going to have to, at some points, do some things that they're not expecting. Because you were horrible a season ago turning the ball over. And I know that you're nauseated of me saying it. Well, guys, we're in game week, so once we get in game week, we're just in game week and we talk about it and things that are actually happening. You cannot have 17 turnovers from your quarterback position. It cannot exist. It cannot exist. Because if it exists, you will get beat, and they have the personnel to extend that on you if you let them. I know that there is the thought process. Well, Blake, if you can't run the ball and they can't block for his ass, then what is he supposed to do? Guys, in my humble opinion, the number one thing as a quarterback is to not turn the ball over. If you do that, you don't give yourself a chance to win. I will bring up another quarterback. Guys, did y'all watch the thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat? Did y'all watch the Kansas State-Iowa State game? Kansas State turned the ball over 5 times. Blake, no, they didn't. They fumbled the ball twice. No. They turned the ball over 5 times. They failed to convert on 4th down 3 times, and they had 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers from fumbling the football. Turnover on downs. It's a turnover on downs. They turned the ball over 5 times. Want to know why that game was close? Because they kept turning the ball over. They couldn't execute. They made dumb, simple mistakes. I don't think Garrett's going to do that. And I think he's going to make some elite throws. And I think he gives you an excellent chance to go in there and win this game. I do. From some things that I've seen, I do think that he gives you that a really, really more than good chance. He gives you a great chance to go in there and win. It's not all on him. It's not all on him. So the 7 storylines coming into this game and the battles when this game gets kicked off that we're watching for. If you hit on 5 of them, you're winning. If you don't, if you lose, it's going to be because, hey, this rush defense was not good enough. You couldn't stop Klubnik. LSU couldn't run the football. This offensive line gave it way too much pressure. Your revamped DB room gave it way too many yards in the air. I mean, guys, there's not a lot of other things that you can say. There is one other thing that I want to bring up before we move on here. Brian Kelly's under a lot of pressure. Outside of James Franklin at Penn State. And I don't know how much, if he's under the same amount of pressure as Brian Kelly, to be honest with you. Brian Kelly has more pressure on him, I feel like, from a national level and a local level more than any other head coach in the SEC and maybe even the country. Dabo has a lot on him as well. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people have been going out there saying, man, Clemson and Dabo, they figured it out. They stayed the course, and this is Dabo's best team. They can go in there and win a national championship. Okay, if that's the truth, what's the perception going to be for Dabo Swinney if LSU goes into Clemson and beats them? Louisville did it. Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? The pressure on Brian Kelly is immense. And pressure either busts someone or makes diamonds. there's going to be a critical coaching decision that both of them are going to have to make throughout the game. And whoever, I mean, and look, Dabo's been there. Brian Kelly's been there. But BK's got a lot of pressure on him.